Welcome to Dreamweaver CS6. Now, I'm going to assume that you know nothing about Dreamweaver, FTP, creating a site, defining a site, etc., etc. My name's Robert. I'm going to share with you my time-tested techniques for building a website totally from scratch using Dreamweaver. I'm going to assume you know nothing. Now, if you do know something, or if you've been working in Dreamweaver for 5 or 6 or 10 or 12 years, you're still going to learn a lot of very cool stuff here. So I highly suggest that you continue watching the video. This will help you every step of the way. First thing we're going to do is set up an FTP server for our website. But before we get started with that, we're on our desktop, right? So on our desktop right here, we're simply going to create a new folder. Now, this folder, I just want to share with you. I want to share with you the same techniques I use to build website solutions for my clients, whether it's a $5,000 website or a $75,000 website. In fact, back in February, I built the site for $117,000, all with Dreamweaver, JavaScript, jQuery, all the goodies, all the bells and whistles. It took me about 6 weekends to put together. All right, I'm going to share with you the same techniques I use to do this. Now, on our desktop, I just have a folder called Websites. Right, I'm going to double click. Inside that folder, I'm going to create a new folder for the name of our new website. I'm just going to paste because I already have it copied. So this is the name of our website, anacamera.com. Now, what I do is I don't put the .com here. This is simply the name of the folder, right? This is simply the name of the folder, Anacamera, right? Now, what I want to share with you, I'm just setting up this basic folder setup on my desktop. I now want to show you the existing site as it exists on the internet. Okay, so here we are, anacamera.com. Right now it's a generic page saying under development, coming soon. Well, the first thing we're going to do is change that page. We're going to download this page from our FTP server. We're going to make changes to the page by putting in, say, a contact information and make it look a little more presentable as far as just saying under development coming soon. So the first thing we did is make a folder on the desktop. Now we can go to Dreamweaver and define the site. Okay, so we're Dreamweaver 6.6. Now the techniques I'm going to share with you today can be done in 6.5, 6.5.5, and also 6.6. So let's get started here. What we want to do, we already have a folder on our desktop called Websites. In that folder, we have a folder called Anacamera. So the first thing we want to do here is go to Site, New Site. We need to tell Dreamweaver where the site is located. Now, for those of you that used Dreamweaver before and you skipped this step, you made a major mistake here, because by setting a defined site, Dreamweaver is going to keep track of your files for you, right? So it's a very important thing to do. I'm just going to paste the name of the site. Now, again, this is just for my own personal preference. I don't like to put the .com here. This is not where .com goes. This is simply the site name for internal use, so I can tell the name of the site as opposed to other sites. Now, this next step is very important. We need to tell Dreamweaver where the site's located on our computer. Now, keep in mind, we can put this folder any place we want on our computer. We can put it in the Documents folder, but I'm keeping it simple. I'm going to navigate my way to the desktop. Okay. On the desktop, I have a folder called Websites. I'm going to double click that, and then I'm going to double click this folder. So this is going to be the root folder, because what does this dialog box say? Choose root folder. This folder inside my website folder is going to be my root folder. Now, that should not change. If it does change, you then have to go back to the same setup and repath yourself to that folder, because otherwise Dreamweaver is not going to know where the file is kept. So we're going to choose that. Now, later we'll set up the FTP for this, but I just want to share with you the first step we do here is define the site, and we're going to save that. Now, I want to make this training so simple, so enjoyable, it's child's play, right? So what I highly suggest you do, if you're not in classic mode, go to classic mode, and I'm going to reset classic mode. By default, classic mode is much simpler to work in than any of the other modes here. Okay, so forget what your friends say. Listen to me. I have 25 years experience in doing Adobe software. So we're going to reset that. Now, what I want you to do is just take your CSS styles and drag it out to here. Take your file manager and drag it out to here. Everything else we don't need. We can close that. The only thing I want to see here is styles and this files panel. Now, this files panel, if I was to close it, the files panel, all floating palettes are under the window menu. Window, files, Macintosh, the shortcut for that is Command Shift F. Okay, so Command Shift F opens Windows app, you Control Shift F. Now, what you should do from here is click right here. This is going to show you your local files and your remote files. Now, we haven't set up the FTP server. We'll do that in just 1 second. Okay, so again, this folder is closed. Under Window menu, it's a toggle. Command F opens, Control F for Windows. Command F opens, closes, wax on, wax off. Okay, now what we need to do is go and define the FTP setup. We already defined the site, so we're going to click here and let go. Right, brings us back to this interface. Now, if that's too confusing for you, you can go to Site, Manage Sites, and do the same thing. I'm going to double click this folder. Okay, based on these choices, we're going to go to Servers. Right, then we're going to click this plus symbol right here. We're going to set the FTP. Now, FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. That's how we upload and download files to our hosting server. Now, my hosting server is out in California. Now, where would you get the FTP set up for your hosting server? Well, if you register with GoDaddy, they would send you the information. If you register with register.com, they would send you the information, etc., etc., etc. So we're going to click right here. Now, based on these choices, we're going to paste in the name of the server. And again, I'm just going to put the name of the server minus the .com. That's just a personal preference here. Now, this information here, you would get that from whoever's hosting your site. They would send you the FTP information. You would take the information and you'd put it here. Now, for my server, it's simply name of the site.com. Okay, then I put my username. Okay, spelling sometimes helps. Now, obviously, that's not my username. You would put in your username, right? Then I'm going to put in the password. Yada, 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 password. Now, this next step is very, very important. If you miss this step, you're going to be very, very confused here. Before I put the root directory, I'm going to come down here and put the full URL path, which is http://www. I'm going to do that first. So do this first before you put the root directory. Now, let's think about something. The root directory is the home folder for your server. Most servers call their home folder either www/ or some servers call it public_.html. My particular case, it uses both. We're simply going to type in www and /. Now, if this information is correct, we're going to hit save. Now, very important step here, we're not done. We then need to click testing server. Now, once I pick testing server, I can now upload, download files to my site. Now, testing server, I'll talk about that more in depth in another video series, but I just want to share with you for our purposes today, the FTP server and the testing server is going to be the same. And I highly suggest you do the same thing. And I'm simply going to hit save. Okay? Now, if there's other files that were there before, it's just going to basically clear the cache, and that's a typical default setting. We're just going to hit the return key, right? So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to close this dialog box. So these are my local files, which I have none because the only thing I have is a folder, and here's my connection to the server. So we're going to connect to the server by clicking this icon right here. Okay, so before we connect to the server, just understand what we just did here. We simply created a folder on a desktop called it Websites. Inside that folder, we put a folder for our new website domain name. Now, whatever your domain name is, that's what I would call the name of the folder. It makes no practical sense to have a website called Orange and call your folder Blue. That doesn't make much sense, right? Now, if I click right here, this is going to connect to the remote server. Now, the reason this is possible because I put in my FTP information. So I'm going to click right there. And it's going to go to the server, and it's going to show me all available files and directory on the server. Well, right now, the only file that's up there is the index.html page, which is this page right here. Okay, so this page right here, we're going to make simple changes to that page and upload it back to the server. So we're going to do that in Dreamweaver right now. Okay, so in Dreamweaver, very simple. Now, for those of you that have used FTP programs like Fetch or Transmit or WS Pro, there's a lot of dragging and dropping. In this program, we don't drag and drop. Because we set up the FTP, I want to be crystal clear about this, guys. Once you set up the FTP, Dreamweaver knows exactly where to put the files. There's no guesswork here. So I'm simply going to double click this file and open it up. Now, by doing so, double clicking the file, it's going to say, do you want to include any dependent files in your transfer? Well, let's understand what a dependent file is. A dependent file would be any file that this file depends on. As an example, a JPEG file, a GIF file, a QuickTime movie, perhaps an external style sheet. This page contains neither. So we're going to say dependent files, no. And it's going to open up that page right inside of Dreamweaver. I'm going to hide this window by going to Window, Files, or Command F for Macintosh, Control F for Windows. So this page right here is the page that was on the web. We're going to make a change to that. So we're going to put the name of the site here. We're going to say name of the site, actually. So we can simply copy and paste name of the site right there. Now, very important step here, guys. This is the title of the page. This is not the name of the file. Under File, Save As, the name of the page is index.html. Now, this is crucial, right? The default home page either be called default.html or index.html. If you call anything else but that, it's not the home page for that folder. Now, understand something. A website could have many folders and many index pages. Each folder's home page can be set by calling it index.html. If you call anything but that, index 2, index 3, index 35, it's not the home page. Home page is either default, physically spelled out, default.html, or index.html. That's how most servers are programmed. Now, the other thing you should put up in the title of your page is what the page is about. So we're going to put the little pipe symbol here, which is under the delete key. This is my own personal preference. And we're going to put here buy, sell cameras, buy, sell cameras, review, and feedback. Okay, so that's the title of our page. Now, we certainly don't want to say under development. We want it to say name of the site. So let's say name of the site, return. Now, before we do anything with the page here, I just want to share with you that what Dreamweaver does, and all Dreamweaver does, is write code. That's all it does. That's what it does. Now, in the course of my tutorial here, I'm going to show you how to create amazing websites without using code. But it's important to understand that Dreamweaver does write code, right? So this is simply a text inside the body tag. So how HTML works here, all tags have an opening tag and a closing tag. As an example, this is an HTML5 document. This is the title doc type for an HTML5 document. HTML starts here, HTML finishes here. Then we have the body tag. Body tag starts here, body tag ends here. Now, I'm just sharing with you how the code thinks, but it's not necessary to touch the code. In most cases, I'm going to show you how to build amazing websites. In general, 98% of the time, not touch the code. If you want to learn how to write code, guys, then go watch those other videos, those other confusing videos on YouTube. I want to make this simple and enjoyable, one step at a time. So here I have code mode, design mode, code mode, design mode. So anacamera.com, I'm going to hit the return key. I just want this to stand out, so I'm going to come down here to format and give this a header 1. Now, a shortcut for that is we can hit command 1 through command 6, header 1 through header 6, command key 1 through command key 6. On Windows, that would be control 1 through control 6. Anytime you hear me say the command key on Macintosh, it's the control key on Windows, right? Anytime you hear me say the option key on Macintosh, it's the alt key on Windows. Now, make a change, save a change. Good habit to get into. Command S, save file, file, save, right? Now, and a camera under development coming soon. Great, perfect, hit the return key. Now, let's say as an example that before the site launches, perhaps we want feedback or we want people to contact us. So I'm simply going to type in contact us. Now, we want to make this a mail hyperlink, M-A-I-L, not M-A-L-E, an email hyperlink, right? So how do we do that? Well, we select the tag. This is a tag. And we come down here to our properties, and we're going to put this little simple code here. We're going to type in mail to colon, and the name of our email address. So we're just going to put something like more info at camera.com. Now, here's a very cool production technique. If you follow this up with a question mark and type in subject equals, what this is going to do for you guys, and try this yourself, this is going to pre-populate the subject line of your email. One of my hugest, biggest pet peeves is when I get an email with no subject line, right? My mom, who passed away a year ago this summer, was 71 years old. She knew how to fill in the subject line. So if she can figure it out, I'm sure you can figure it out. So we're going to pre-populate the subject line. So it's simply name of the email address, question mark for query, subject equals, let's just put it in here, I need space more, spelling sometimes helps, info. Perfect, genius. So what that's going to do, guys, when I click on this in my website, it's going to open my email program, and it's going to pre-populate the subject line with I need more info. Okay, make a change, save a change. Now, important step here. I want to share with you, there's a couple of ways to get this changed page on the server. So one way is to go to Window Files. So we could take this file, and based on these choices here, these are all my choices, we can click right here to put this on the server. So put and get, gets off, puts on, gets off, puts on. That's one way to do this. We can basically put this on the server. Now, the problem with this particular technique is now I have to open up a web browser and type in the name of the page. Well, I'm a lazy guy. I don't want to do that. I want Dreamweaver to do this for me. Okay, so again, we can simply upload the file by going to our file manager, which is Window Files, Command F for Macintosh, Control F for Windows, and we could click here to upload the file to the server. Now, another way to do that is I can come right here as well, and here's the shortcut for that. Command Shift U uploads files. Control Shift U for Windows. Now, keyword files. So if you had 20 files here, you can select those files and upload them at the same time. Or if you had 20 folders to your file manager, that's a very important step. Command F opens the window, Command F closes the window, right? Wax on, wax off. Okay? So what we're going to choose to do is we're going to get totally lazy and let Dreamweaver upload the file plus open a browser window. This is a very slick, powerful production technique that you should get to know. So from the file menu, why the file menu? Anything about a file is under the file menu. Makes sense to me. Import a file, export a file, convert a file, print a file, close a file, open a file. My objective with my training method that I've been using for 25 years is to get you to think the way the software thinks, guys. I don't want to confuse your head with a bunch of jargon. I just want you to make this so simple, it's frightening. So from the file menu, based on these choices, these are my choices, we're going to say preview in browser, and we're going to pick Firefox. Now, you can set up your browser list here any way you choose. I happen to set my Firefox browser as my primary browser. Therefore, the shortcut for that is Option F12. In Windows, this would be Alt F12. Then in Chrome, I set up as my secondary browser. Macintosh, Command F12 is the shortcut. Windows, that'd be Control F12. Now, I just want to share with you, you can hit the plus symbol and add as many browsers, Opera, Internet Explorer, etc., but you only get 2 hotkeys for the browsers here. So I just want to be very clear about that. Okay, so let's hide this window again. So it's just simply Window, Files. It toggles on, toggles off, Command F. So we're going to take the lazy approach to upload this file to the server plus view it in a browser window. So File, Preview in Browser, Firefox. It's going to ask us a couple of questions. A, do you want to put this on the testing server? Well, if I say no, well, diddly squat, nothing's going to happen. I'm going to say, of course, yes. Then it's going to say, do you want to include any dependent files? Similar to the dialog box we got when we tried to download the file, right? So I don't have any dependent files. I'm going to say no. And just like that, it's going to take this page and publish it to the server. So here's the old version. Now, if I refresh the page, you would see the new version. Here's the existing page. Here's the new page, right? So how cool is that? Once I set up the FTP server, it's very simple to make changes to that. So let's get back to Dreamweaver for a second. Okay, so back in Dreamweaver, I decided to, just so I can visually see this a little bit better, I'm going to say capital C, right? Now, the other thing I'd like to do here, and we'll talk about that in depth in another video series, is I want to change the body tag. Now, the body tag by default, without going into my CSS rules, here's a simple way to do this. We're simply going to go to Page Properties right here. Now, we can get the Page Properties by either hitting Command J, Control J for Windows, or I can just click on Page Properties. Now, here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to set up my default font to be for Dana. Again, this is simply Page Properties by clicking right here. Okay, it's going to write all the CSS for us right now before we get into a more better way to do this in another video series, right? We're going to change our default typeface to say 14 pixels. It defaults to 16 pixels. Incidentally, you want to work in pixels, not points or M spaces, which we'll talk about later, right? Now, here's what I'd like to do here, right? I want to make my hyperlink color, so I'm going to come up here to links, category links, and I don't want to make this old, tired, blue 1995 hyperlink. So for the link color, we're just going to pick maybe this hipper little light blue color. And if I hit the apply option, it's going to change that. So right now it changed the font and it changed this. Right? Now I don't want to underline this. I'm going to say never underline or underline on rollover. Right? So I'll show you how that works in just a second. Now for the rollover link, we'll just keep our default colors. Right? I'm going to go back to the appearance menu here. Now I just want to talk about this for a second. Okay? This basically is telling you that if a person doesn't have this font, then pick this font. And if they don't have that font, pick this font. So we're just going to keep this simple, 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 and hit OK. Make a change, save a change. Now, put on your thinking caps, guys. I already have a browser window, so I don't have to keep publishing new browser windows. So the only thing I want to do with these new changes is upload the page. So I can either do Command-Shift-U, or I can click right here, or I go to my file manager, whatever is simpler. In my particular case, the simplest way to get this back on the internet is Command-Shift-U for upload. Again, it's going to say, is there any dependent files? We don't have any, so we say no. Okay, then we go back to the browser. Okay, so here's our browser window. Now again, I didn't publish the browser window, republish, because I don't want to keep opening new browser windows. Now you'll notice that there's no changes here because I need to refresh my browser. I can either hit the return key to refresh the browser, or I can click right here, and there's our new changes. How cool is that? Now, the thing we did before here, and if you look right down here in the bottom left here, when I hover over this, it gives me the underline. So right down here in the bottom left here, no, I can't do both at the same time, so keep your eye right here. What does it say? It says the path to the email, which is more info at anacamera.com. Mail to : more info at anacamera.com. And subject equals I need more info. So how's that going to help us? Well, watch this. So this is super cool. This is going to pre-populate your subject line. So if you get this way, there's no excuse why to get an email from somebody with no subject line. I'm simply going to click this. It's going to launch my email program, and it's going to say, I need more info. Why does it say that? Because that's how we set up the hyperlink email inside of Dreamweaver. So let's review that. Okay, so back in Dreamweaver, again, I'm going to select this text, and right here we put in mail info, mail to : name of your email address, .com or whatever, .net or whatever email address, question mark, subject equals I need more info. So it's a very, very simple technique, right? So this is basically a 25-minute tutorial on how to set up your site, how to set up your basic page, coming to page. The rest can be seen for free by going to thinkdreamweaver.com. You can view the rest of my tutorial for free by going to thinkdreamweaver.com. There's no catches, there's no, if you want to watch the rest of the tutorial for free, which I'm more than happy to share with you on how to build the site, how to put CSS rules, how to basically link pages, etc., etc., etc. More than happy to share that with you. But at this point, you need to go to thinkdreamweaver.com. Now, if you're not sure about that, it's simply thinkdreamweaver.com. And if we want to put that in the center based on these choices, I can just put this in the center by coming right down here and putting this in the center. And if I want to make this a header 1, I can go right back here and pick header 1. Now, of course, we're going to get much more detailed in building the rest of this site. So go to thinkdreamweaver.com. You'll be sent over to my other free tutorials. All you have to do is put in your email address, pick a password, because it will be password protected. But again, it's totally free. There's no catch. It's free. The only thing you have to do, it is a password protected site. So you just put in your email, pick your own password, and you're in. Simple, simple, simple. You can watch the rest of the tutorial at thinkdreamweaver.com. Have a good day. My name is Robert. Carpe diem. Actually, it's not Robert Carpe diem. Carpe diem means seize the day. Well, it's a loose interpretation of Latin. All right, so my name is Robert. Talk to you soon. Thanks again for watching.